the first thing that's really interesting is that the green building principles that you apply in big corporate buildings or very fancy golf course estate houses, where we think it's an application for the rich or an application for corporate sector, are exactly the same principles as you apply locally in informal housing, formal housing of this nature. So the difference is that, on the one, other than the obvious economic difference in terms of the status of your occupant, the big difference is that whilst there it's a nice to have, here it becomes an absolute necessity. So when you're saving 20 or 30% of your income, and your income is 1,000 Rand, equivalent of $120 a month, that's a huge amount of money. And from a poverty alleviation perspective, from the health perspective, the health burden that you're suffering as a result of an inefficient building is, it's life or death. It's kind of it's the nuts and bolts of your life rather than the nice to have of your life.
I'm staying with my kids, and I was spending a lot for the electricity, and I couldn't even buy electricity for 250. Only for that I couldn't make it for even a month because I was just running out of budget. And then from there I've got this ceiling board. It's nice and cool because my house is hot.
So we have built 3 million houses in South Africa of this nature in the last 15 years, and each one of those occupants in those houses, at least 90% of them, have been subjected to this kind of additional poverty, this exacerbation of energy poverty, exacerbation of their health compromise. And those 3 million houses, we will construct another 3 million in the next 15 years. So the big question is kind of, how do we avoid what we would have to do in terms of retrofitting a big chunk of houses? Sorry, sis. How are we going to avoid having to retrofit houses in 15 years' time, because the retrofitting is that much tougher? So we've got to get in on the act when we're building houses, because it's cheaper, a whole bunch more efficient. The carbon that we save on those houses is significant. It provides some aspect of the finance. There's obviously a whole bunch of additional finance that's necessary. But at a micro level within the household, it's a complete no-brainer. There isn't a single one of these houses holders that wouldn't say, I'll pay you 200 Rand a month for these interventions, because they're saving that and more. The question is, how you're going to have an institutional mechanism by which you can collect that revenue, and government essentially is saving the money on new built power capacity, which have avoided capacity in the future, and on health and other social ills that they're essentially causing through this housing. How's government going to come to the party and help finance that, and how's the international finance community going to come to the party, particularly around the climate change community, because this is a serious mitigation opportunity. It's probably South Africa and most of Africa's lowest hanging fruit in terms of mitigation around energy and massive social upliftment and poverty alleviation.
What's going on here? Why is it so noisy?
We're having a party! A party!
Now I'm proud I can call my family that they must come home. This is my home.
Wow.